Let's try and get you this latest again. Government hoping to finalise a class action lawsuit over the Marikana Massacre by the end of this month. It gave an update earlier today on progress made in the matter. Families of the victims are demanding R1 billion in compensation and an apology from the president. This comes 10 years after 34 miners were killed by police while striking at Lonmin Mine. Our reporter Moloko Moloto is standing by with the latest. A briefing held by the Solicitor General, Fedzisani Pandelani, and of course giving an update on the litigation being faced by government, but of course also what they've learned from this process, which they hope to bring in policies that will make it easier for government to deal with this kind of issue in the future.
Well, good afternoon, Marcel. Indeed, just on the 10th anniversary of the Marikana Massacre, you would recall that the actual strike actually started on this day, on the 10th of August in 2012. And we saw the violence that continued to erupt there. Ultimately, we saw about 10 people, including miners, as well as police officers, but also security guards who were killed. And we saw government responding through the police, then killing at least 34 miners in total. 44 people were killed. And of course, there has been negotiations taking place between lawyers representing the workers in Marikana as well as the state. And today we had a media briefing by the Solicitor General, Mr. Pandelani, who was basically updating the public and the media about work that's already been done. And he is saying that the state is still committed to compensating the victims of the Marikana Massacre. But let's clarify this, Marcel, that the matter that we are talking about here is with regard to the 34 who were killed by the police. I asked the Solicitor General specifically to say, what is an update? Is this reparation involving families of the 10? And he said, look, that is a matter that is not before my office as Solicitor General, at least. So it is a matter relating to those who were killed and those who were injured, and of course their families. But up to so far, Marcel, the state has already paid over 175 million rand. This was for the families who lost, the 34 families or miners for loss of income, but also the state has had to pay for the wrongful arrest. You would remember that shortly after the massacre, the police arrested approximately 279 people, Marcel, and they appeared at the Garankuwa Magistrates Court. But all those people, not all of them, majority of them obviously were released later. And the number actually was reduced to 21. Those are the people who ultimately faced the murder charges. But that number of 21 has also gone down to 17 because others who were charged in the process died. Now, let us also then talk about the other process. Obviously, that is a separate court matter, Marcel, a lawsuit by the workers. As much as negotiations in as far as this matter is concerned, that's a separate matter, because where they don't agree, the state and the negotiators, is when it comes to damages. They have categorized them into two. One is about what they call special damages. If, for instance, those who were injured have had to consult private medical doctors and all that, they are saying there's no argument there. Where there's proof, they are going to pay. The dispute is when it comes to what they call general damages, the actual pain that was felt by those who were injured. That is where there's disagreement. But there's also a separate matter where the mine workers and their families are actually suing President Cyril Ramaphosa as well as Sibanye Stillwater, which later bought Lonmin Mine. So that matter is separate. It is before the court. And finally, the Solicitor General is saying in all the cases that his office has had to deal with, President Cyril Ramaphosa was never cited as a respondent. And as I say, the president is only cited in his personal capacity in a separate case where the mine workers as well as their families are suing him and the mining company for 1 billion rand.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Our reporter Moloko Moloto reporting to us live there on a very, very important story. 10 years on, and it's still being wrapped up.